Hello out there, and I've got a collection update video today featuring my discontinued Benchmade Grails. And for those of you who don't know, guys, I am just really into hunting down old and discontinued models. There's so much good stuff out there that was released and either got popular or didn't, but then got discontinued and forgotten about. And I really have enjoyed doing online research and hunting down some of this stuff and trying to get old and hard to find models in my hand. You know, the best example of that was recently at Blade Show when I picked up this limited edition Benchmade 690 and also, you know, the CRKT Scarab. You know, a very, very cool old knife that is hard to get your hands on nowadays. You know, and it's not just CRKT, it's not just Benchmade, it's all, you know, all brands that I collect from. You know, this is a Centofonte 4. Which took me a while to get. You know, there's just a lot of stuff out there that is fun to try to chase down and things that I'm still constantly learning about. You know, when I found out about this knife, I had no idea what it was. So, thanks to Machete J again for helping me out with that. But today, guys, I want to talk about the 5 knives, the 5 specific Benchmades that, since the beginning of my Benchmade collection, I've been gunning for them. You know, I've been trying to get all 5 of these knives, and I recently got numbers 4 and 5. Finally, you know, so I have all 5 of them to some degree, and I just wanted to talk about them and put them on camera and, you know, give you a look at the knives that I've been trying to get for the longest amount of time. All right, and the first one that I got is an Osborne. It is the 930 Kulgera. A lot of you have probably seen this one on the channel a few times. You know, I talk about this being my favorite Benchmade, and honestly, at this point, it still might be. This knife gets a lot more use than most of my other knives. It is a user. I did get it slightly used as well, so that sort of helped me decide to make it a user and that it wasn't pristine when I picked it up. I don't know, guys. I just really like this model. I like how different it is. There's nothing else quite like it when it comes to, you know, the way the scales don't quite fit the liners. You know, and it still manages to be extremely ergonomic. And I think that what ends up happening with so many of the Osborne designs is they're not the 940, and so people forget about them. You know, it's hard to do anything better than the 940, but in my opinion, this knife is just as good. And it has this a classy, polished but not slick kind of blue and black G10. It's just a beautiful knife. S30V. So this one is among my absolute favorites in my entire collection. Now, the second one that I got is actually no longer mine anymore. It's the Bob Lum Mini Deja Vu. That's the Benchmade 745. And that was probably the one that was at the top of the list more than any other Benchmade. I wanted that knife. It looked like a Spyderco, had an opening hole. I'll just slide in a picture right here so you can check it out if you haven't seen that one before. But that knife, man, that knife was super cool. And I got it in hand when I finally picked it up, and I cannot tell you how disappointing it was. It was so disappointing that I didn't make a video about it. And that's just so weird. It's hard to believe. I got that knife that I'd wanted for so long, and I was just so bummed out by it. It wasn't good in hand. There was lock stick. It just didn't have good action. There was side-to-side play, even when everything was tightened up. And I did a little bit of research, and a couple people told me, yeah, that's just sort of par for the course with the Mini Deja Vu. It just had some issues, you know, and not all of them were like that, but enough of them were, and just sort of turned me off from the whole design, and I just flipped the knife and sold it immediately. Like I said, didn't even put it on video because I was so frustrated by it. So yeah, go figure. So that was number 2. Number 3 is another one that you might have seen, and this one is probably, just as far as collecting, the crown jewel of all of them. This is another Osborne, and it is the 960. And the 960... You're looking for aesthetics. In my opinion, it is very hard to find anything that is superior to this. Anything, not just Benchmade. I mean, this is, for me, pretty close to as good as it gets. Ergonomically, well, it's not quite perfect. It's pretty slick with the aluminum here, even though we do have this G10 inlay. The aluminum's pretty slick. There's not any kind of jimping, so yeah, it's not going to be the best hard use kind of knife, but this one being a very limited edition, number 28 out of 50. Yeah, it just is, I don't know, just something special to me. And yeah, I think of all the knives in my Benchmade collection, even though this one almost never gets used, this is the one that, even though it doesn't have any real sentimental attachment to me, this one is probably the most special. Because, yeah, I really wanted it the most, and it was one that, unlike the Deja Vu, when I finally got it, you know, it delivered. You know, it delivered when I got it in hand. It hit every box that I wanted it to, so... yeah, very cool piece here. Again, that's the 960. And if you're looking at the limited edition, I know I've talked about this before, but what they did with this model was they just released a bunch of different limited editions. And instead of having like one limited edition that was 1,000 pieces, they did, I think, a half dozen different ones that had 50 in the run. So pretty interesting to just make a bunch of things. And they sort of made it, I think, for the collector more than anything else. You know, they made this a very collectible knife. So there's a bunch of different versions of it just floating around out there. And then the most recent ones, the ones I picked up, just in the past couple months. The first one is the 855 Mini Dark Star. So I've been looking at these for a long time, and I found this one on eBay and found it at a better price than most of them go for. And so I jumped all over it. This is an Elishewitz design. This is a first production run, a pretty low number 2. And for those of you guys out there who like a very sterile blade, well, this one is certainly not going to be for you because it's just marked everywhere. But this is a really attractive piece. Liner lock. The G10 is this rough old style kind of G10, and yeah, it just it's not my preferred G10, but it is just a pretty neat timestamp, I think, to have that on here. You know, it's a liner lock, so for most of my experience with Benchmade, you know, I try to stick to axis locks because that's what makes them special. But with this knife, I don't know, it just always called to me. You know, it's always been something that I wanted to get my hands on. I love the Elishewitz designs, and this blade, it's just a great looking one. It also has a Benchmade USA clip that is a very old Benchmade USA clip. So for those of you who are into the clips and the different like lettering on them, you know, I know there's a few of you who have talked to me about that. This one is the only one with this clip that that I've ever had. All right, and then last but not least is functionally, man, it's about as good a knife as I've ever gotten in hand. And yeah, that's a pretty bold statement, but this is one that just escaped me for so long. And the one that you're about to see is beat up beyond beyond perfect repair, that is for sure. But when I got it in hand, I knew that this model was definitely the model for me. And this is the Aries. All right, so this one is the Aries, the 732. There is a 730. The 730 is the most common Aries, and there are a bunch of different variations for that. Limited edition, different handle materials and handle types, just a lot of different options for the basic 730. This one, the 732, is a more recent limited edition, actually. And you can see that it is pretty darn beat up. You know, I got this one online because nobody else wanted it. And these Aries models go for a lot of money, and I was able to get it, having never held one in hand ever. You know, I was able to get this one pretty cheap to at least give me the opportunity to check out what the knife would at least feel like. And the good news about this is that right here, everything from the blade down is in pretty darn good shape. You know, obviously the clip has wear and, you know, there's dings here and there in the G10, whatever. But I mean, functionally, the knife, you know, opens, closes really nicely. It seems like the Axis Omega springs are perfectly fine. The hardware is perfectly fine. So there's no structural problems in the back. And so I'm able to get the knife in hand and tell you, man, this is an awesome knife. This is an awesome knife. And all I need to do is get this fixed up here. And I actually was in touch with a sharpener regarding doing that and, you know, taking these serrations down and getting a new edge on the knife. And I'm not sure what direction I'm going to go anymore. You know, I have been sort of exploring opportunities to maybe get a new blade made and put on it. You know, that would be a bit of an investment, but it would be interesting. And, you know, I'm still sort of not done hunting for this model. You know, I still want to get other Arises, certainly something in better condition than this. So I think that maybe if I can find another beat up one where maybe this part is messed up and the blade's in good shape, you know, maybe I could make that happen. But I don't know, there's a lot that could be done still with this specific knife and in my collection with this model, because like I said, I mean, as soon as I got it in hand, like I felt just how well it fills the hand. And actually, let me bring something in. Let me see what I have on the table here. Yeah, bring back that Centofonte 4. You can see just a nice substantial handle. So it is a little bit beefy. So it does fill the hand. And I mean, this is going to be a really good user knife if someone were to want to EDC a collectible like this. And I think that's what I want to do eventually. You know, I want to get one that is in better shape and usable because, yeah, like I said, just an excellent knife in hand, feels great. And definitely, even though it is as beat up as it is, it delivers. So those are the 5. I mean, those are the 5 knives that I really wanted to get the most. Doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of other old Benchmades that I'm still trying to track down and at least test out and get in hand. I mean, that certainly is the case. But these were the ones that I wanted to add to the collection more than anything else, and at this point I have. So let me know down below, what do you think of these models? Which one out of all of these is your favorite? Which one would you suggest I hunt down next from Benchmade? You know, what should be the next knife that I'm trying to get my hands on? I am still pursuing some different mini grips and different steels, if you know about my chase for those and to add mini griptilians to my collection. But as far as the discontinued Grail kind of stuff goes, what do you suggest? All right, guys, and any other questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, you know where to reach me. Definitely interested in hearing from you, so hopefully I'll hear from you soon, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.